Welcome into the Wiltfong Whiparound with Steve Wiltfong. Today is Thursday, September 4th, and I am your host, Josh Newberg. Week 2, it's in the books. Can you believe it? We have 2 weekends of college football behind us. You got to remember to cherish it while it's here because the season goes fast. But it was another fun week of games. Also, a lot of surprise visits and some major recruiting developments. You know, the slate of games, it didn't look all that appetizing heading into the weekend, but college football always delivers. You know who else always delivers? Steve Wiltfong, national analyst here at Rivals. We're going to get him on in a second. We got a ton of scoop from the weekend. We're going to break it all down, but before we do, hit subscribe to the Rivals Recruits channel. This is the best recruiting channel on all of YouTube, so jump on board, hit subscribe for me, please. Also, join Rivals today. You get a full year access to The Athletic plus all the On3 national and fan site content. I'm going to put the link in the description of this video. You guys go hit it and join Rivals. Go lock in now. All right, now let's bring in Steve Wiltfong, and we're going to start in the Bayou. Talk a little LSU recruiting as the Tigers are hunting for a quarterback. Brian Kelly and Joe Sloan have their sights set on a few big names in this weekend, Steve. We had a surprise visitor on campus. Tell us about it.
Yeah, Landon Duckworth, South Carolina quarterback commit, the Rivals Industries number 8 passer, was in Baton Rouge. LSU had been talking behind the scenes with Duckworth for at least a few weeks now, led by offensive coordinator Joe Sloan. They got him to campus hours before the game. He was able to grab lunch, see what it was like in Death Valley on a game day, walk around campus, and then saw the Tigers defeat Louisiana Tech to improve to 2-0. Sunday was spent with meetings. He got his official offer from LSU. And people that spent time with them are optimistic that an official visit will be scheduled and that LSU is moving in the right direction with Duckworth. On the flip side of that, he's been committed to South Carolina since the summer. Around Columbia, he's telling South Carolina all the right things. He is expected back on campus inside Willie Bryce Stadium for the Vanderbilt game on Saturday night. And so we'll see how this continues to play out between the two programs. LSU trying to flip Landon Duckworth. We know they're talking to other 2026 quarterbacks behind the scenes as well as they try and land one in this cycle after not taking one in 2025. Although you could say transfer portal addition Michael Van Buren was a nice pickup for them at the position for that class.
Yeah, I like Van Buren and what he did in his freshman year at Mississippi State. All right, let's talk a little bit about 2027 quarterback recruiting as well, since we're on the topic, because on Friday, Peyton Houston let it be known that he's going to make his decision on September 15th. That's just about 7 days from now. So Peyton Houston, the number 8 ranked quarterback in America, when he makes his decision, Steve, that'll be 5 of the top 10 quarterbacks in the 2027 class off the board. Where does LSU stand right now with Houston?
Well, they look to be one of the front runners down the stretch, but Oklahoma is the program everybody is chasing. He was back in Norman over the weekend, got a chance to watch John Mateer, Heisman candidate, make plays, leading the Sooners to a big win over the Maize and Blue at night inside the Palace, watching Ben Arbuckle's offense, seeing Oklahoma be a program that looks like it's going to turn the corner and get back on track here in year 4 of the Brent Venables era after 2 losing seasons out of the first 3 campaigns he's had. Ben Arbuckle, a huge hire. John Mateer, someone that may have a major impact on this program. Peyton Houston's had great relationships with OU. He had done game day there last year, back this year, loves the coaching staff. Looks like an offense that he could thrive in with his skill set, and sources around this recruitment like Oklahoma. But USC will continue to battle, and LSU expected to get Peyton Houston on campus this weekend for their home game at night against Florida. And LSU has really turned it up for Peyton Houston at the start of the calendar year. He's had some good visits to campus, good conversations with Joe Sloan and company. So we'll see if LSU can change the pulse of this recruitment this weekend, because we like where Oklahoma stands right now for Peyton Houston.
All right. So, Steve, who else is on that 2027 quarterback board that LSU is eyeing?
Well, I think you obviously start with Colton Nussmeier, 4-star quarterback out of the Lone Star State, younger brother of Heisman candidate Garrett Nussmeier. LSU is already trending on the Rivals prediction machine, including my prediction. And then the number 1 quarterback in the country per the Rivals industry rankings, Elijah Haven, also expected at LSU on Saturday night. The Tigers have offered. He is trending towards Florida right now on the Rivals prediction machine, but he's got a great relationship with LSU. They've called Joe Sloan more like an uncle or a brother than an offensive coordinator and a coach as far as the relationship goes. It's close to home. And as LSU, continues to push for quarterbacks in the 2027 class, we'll see where things fall with Elijah Haven, who we knew loved Florida coming into the season. But the Gators looking to get a win on Saturday night against LSU after a tough loss to USF. USF, they're the only team in the country with 2 top 25 wins right now, Josh.
They are. And did you know, Steve, that prior to beating Boise State in week 1, USF had not beaten a ranked opponent in 9 years. They went out and beat another ranked opponent the very next weekend, UF.
I was at USF's 2011 win over Notre Dame. I think that was the last time they won on the road against a ranked opponent.
Well, they go on the road this weekend against Miami. So anyway, we're talking LSU here. Big weekend against the Gators. They get a chance to do it in front of a bunch of recruits. You guys talk to us in the comment section below and tell us what LSU quarterback is going to commit to the Tigers first. Will it be a 2027, 2026? Let us know. Comment section below. Let's talk some Oklahoma recruiting because the Sooners are riding high off of that win over Michigan. John Mateer, the offense, it looks explosive. They got playmakers. How'd the win translate to recruiting?
Well, there are a lot of prospects that were inside the Palace on Saturday night in Norman, one of the special game experiences you can have in college football. And they are raving about the experience that they had at Oklahoma, watching Brent Venables and company beat a Michigan team at their own game. Oklahoma was very physical in that game, hit hard, dominant at the point of attack, really limited Michigan's rushing attack outside of one big run, and then made the plays they needed on offense to get the win. John Mateer looked super exciting, dual threat quarterback that did it with his arms and his legs. Some big wins out of the recruiting transfer portal, including Deion Burks from the state of Michigan, who is the Sooners' leading receiver in this game. So Oklahoma got a huge win on the field. It's going to resonate and lead to future wins on the trail, in my opinion.
All right. What other, there was a lot of prospects on campus, a lot of 2026 commitments, a lot of 2027 targets. So who were some of the top 2027 names on campus that Oklahoma fans need to know about?
Well, I think you start with Peyton Houston, the number 8 quarterback in the country per the Rivals industry, taking his visit on the heels of announcing his decision date for next Monday, September 15th. And there's a lot of buzz about OU coming into the visit. And a source said, look, he's got to have a great visit in Norman to push this over the top. Watching John Mateer increase his Heisman odds, a big win, seeing Ben Arbuckle's offense in person, how tough it is to continuously get stops against the Sooners offense. Exciting. Getting around Coach Venables and the staff again. He's done game days at OU in the past. The buzz favors Oklahoma. He's expected at LSU this weekend. USC is going to continue pushing for Peyton Houston as well. But I like where Oklahoma stands. And if Peyton Houston is the number 1 target on Oklahoma's board on the offensive side of the ball, I think it's Rivals' number 1 ranked linebacker Cooper Witten on the defensive side of the ball. Oklahoma was first to offer the NFL legacy recruit. He's been to campus before, returned for this one, said he was very impressed with Oklahoma's defense and how they were flying around all night. Really enjoyed the visit. No question OU's one of the front runners. I've heard Clemson's in there, Texas A&M, Ohio State. He's going to be at Tennessee, of course, where he's a legacy recruit this weekend for the big game against Georgia. Notre Dame's involved, but Oklahoma is one of the front runners, if not the leader, for Cooper Witten at this point in his process as he continues to, go out and see some schools and build relationships with top programs.
All right. So when it comes to new predictions, you got any coming for the Sooners soon?
Yeah, on Sunday night, colleague Adam Gorney and I predicted Oklahoma to land the number 3 athlete in the country, number 79 prospect overall, Damari DeZurn. He took his visit to Oklahoma over the weekend, trending heavy to the Sooners. Some other guys that we need to mention, Josh, that Oklahoma is in great shape for. The number 1 corner in the country, Joshua Dobson, was blown away with his visit. Can't wait to get back. So, it was his first time on campus. He loves the tradition. Loves that Coach Venables is a defensive-minded coach. And he saw what he did with Clemson's defense. He's from South Carolina. He's just excited to see how things continue to develop with OU. Some other guys at Oklahoma is at the top 4 or certainly in the lead group. You got defensive backs Jerry Outhouse, Monterey Jackson, Mikhail McCreary, offensive lineman Jackson Roper, and Gus Corsair, and receiver Brody Knowles out of South Lake Carroll. In-state linebacker Case Alexander, he's a four-star recruit that I could definitely see land at Oklahoma. Elijah Harmon from California was blown away, and this was a weekend where the returns have come in very strong. Peyton Houston's first up to commit. We have them trending for four-star Damari DeZern, and I wouldn't be surprised if you see more predictions coming out of this weekend down the road.
All right, Oklahoma fans, historic recruiting weekend, and the Sooners do what they need to do, get the win over Michigan. How are you guys feeling? Put it in the comments section below. All right, let's talk a little Texas Longhorn recruiting. As you know, the Horns return home. They get a big win, and they also get an important five-star on campus, James J.J. Johnson. He's already flipped once, Steve. That flip was from Georgia to Texas. But after visiting Miami for that opener against Notre Dame, there's been some buzz around James Johnson, not just the Canes, also the Florida Gators. So getting him back in Austin this weekend, why was this important?
Well, this is one where Texas is going to have to battle to sign him, and they're the out-of-state U going up against Miami and Florida for the coveted Sunshine State prospect, number 10 player overall in the Rivals recruiting rankings. Texas got him on campus in the spring, and they were on the rise in that recruitment. And when he committed to Georgia in the summer, there was a lot of surprise around Austin because coming out of his official visit, they thought they had him, but they stayed on the gas. They were able to flip him shortly after he committed to Georgia. Now they're going to have to battle to keep him. And I still like where they stand. Unless in this modern recruiting era, the Hurricanes or Gators come stronger, I think Texas is in great position there. And then he just enjoyed being back on campus, said it's always great, good to be back at the University of Texas, enjoyed being on campus, felt like home, excited to see everyone in person again. Always feels good. He's built a good relationship with Coach Baker and that staff, likes the way the defense flies around and gets to the football, saw a win, and he felt great about it. And Texas in a great spot to keep him in the fold. We'll see if Miami or Florida raises the bar from where it's at. That's when we'll truly see if he's on flip watch or not.
Yeah. All right. What other notable names were in Austin over the weekend?
I think you're just looking at their class right now, ranked number 5 nationally in the country, just keeping those guys in the fold. Number 1 linebacker Tyler Atkinson returned to Austin. He's solid to the burnt orange right now. Sees an opportunity to walk into that starting lineup as a true freshman, and had another really good visit in Austin around the Texas program.
Let's head out to the Plains, talk a little Auburn recruiting. The Tigers stayed hot against Ball State. That offense looks like it's clicking finally. And they had a bunch of flip targets on campus over the weekend. Steve, did any of them flip, though?
Well, I think they will. I think that Auburn is trending for a lot of recruits that were on campus this weekend. Let's start with Rivals 300 cornerback Lasiah Jackson out of Leesburg, Georgia. Lee County High, he is a verbal to Stanford, and for being a commit to the Cardinal, he sure left the Auburn bookstore with a lot of Auburn merch to wear down the road. I like the way it's trending for Auburn. Chad Simmons reported on the day of his visit Saturday that he'll be back for an official visit October 11th. I talked to Jackson as well after his visit. He talked about how the energy around Auburn is real. You can see the momentum building around the program and the fan base. And Auburn's recruited 2 straight top 10 classes. They've done well in the portal. This is supposed to be a breakout year for them, and they look like they are trending towards that. He likes the way the thing's headed, has a real belief that Auburn can compete at the highest level and that they can develop players. And the vision for the future is big, and it's something that he may want to be part of. You know, Georgia Tech is another program that's pushed for him. Alabama was involved early. Auburn certainly looks like they have a lot of momentum for 4-star Lasiah Jackson. I did log some predictions for Auburn to flip Corey Wells. He's a 4-star defensive lineman from Mississippi. He's committed to the Longhorns. His brother Chris Wells is a linebacker committed to South Alabama that Auburn had in on an official visit this weekend. They've offered him a scholarship, so having both Wells brothers on the Plains is something that could easily happen, in my opinion. Jared Doty is a massive offensive tackle that was committed to Georgia State, but landed offers in the last week from Georgia, Auburn, Missouri, and Georgia Tech's involved. He decommitted right before his Auburn visit. He'll be back for an official visit. So Auburn's in the mix of that one. Deshaun Spencer, receiver from Saraland High, committed to Duke there. Alabama product that loves the offense, the way the school supports the players. Got a chance to get around some of the players on the team. Felt like he fit in there. He said he'll be back for another game day visit, but for right now, he's locked in with the Blue Devils. And then the biggest prediction I might have made for Auburn over the weekend, the number one recruit in the state, number 18 prospect overall in 2027, Hueytown defensive lineman Donovan Moore. He told me Auburn's his number one right now. They'll have to hold off places like Tennessee, where he's going to visit this weekend. Said it was electric inside Jordan Hare on Saturday night. Loved the way it's trending for Auburn for Donovan Moore. They may just yet bounce back. They're not going to have a top 10 class this cycle, most likely, but maybe in 2027 with guys like Donovan Moore if they have the season they want to have.
Let's talk a little South Carolina recruiting as the Gamecocks had some flip targets on campus. They were down 3-0 in the first quarter, but they battled back with a big win. And maybe one of the biggest news of the weekend, edge Julian Walker, who's committed to Michigan, was on campus. Steve, what does it mean for South Carolina?
Well, they're looking to battle back in that recruitment. One of the most prized prospects on their board, edge rusher, committed to Michigan in the summer. South Carolina recently re-engaging with Julian Walker, local product. His dad, Jameel Walker, is on the strength staff for the Gamecocks. And he said it was great to be back in the building, seeing everyone, spent a lot of time with potential position coach Sterling Lucas. Darren Usher has been involved. Those guys said they are not done with this recruitment. Said the fan support is elite, called Willie Bryce a special place, had good conversations with Coach Beamer and members on the staff. And South Carolina is a program he's always had a lot of love for. He picked Michigan, spread his wings, had some great visits to the Wolverines campus. Michigan's done a great job of developing defensive ends, especially as of late. And he's going to get back to Michigan for the Wisconsin game next month. But it's obvious that South Carolina, the door is open for the Gamecocks here to get back in with Julian Walker and perhaps add him to a class that currently ranks number 16 nationally.
All right. Well, while South Carolina was working on a big flip of Michigan edge Julian Walker, LSU was working to flip South Carolina quarterback commit Landon Duckworth. What do you think of this visit? How should South Carolina fans feel?
Let's talk game time. All of a sudden, the college and NFL football seasons are upon us. But guess what? We need our tickets, and getting deals on last-minute tickets can be frustrating when all you want to do is be there for the moment your team runs out onto the field. Well, thankfully, the Game Time app gives the advantage back to the fans. It's the hack for unlocking amazing ticket experiences, and it only takes a few simple clicks. The app is easy to use, and the Game Time guarantee means that you can trust that you'll get 100% authentic tickets on time and at the best price. Plus, fees are always included, so what you see is what you pay. That's why I use the Game Time app. It's super simple and makes the experience of buying great seats a breeze. Also, one of the coolest features I've seen is the Game Time lowest price guarantee. It's where Game Time will credit you 100% of the difference to guarantee you're getting the lowest price if you find cheaper tickets elsewhere. All right, here's what we're going to do. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the promo code ON3, ON3. That's the promo code ON3 for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. That ON3 for 20% off. Game Time, last minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed.
Well, around Columbia, I don't think they're worried at all. They're expecting him back in Columbia Saturday night for the game against Vanderbilt. He's saying all the right things to the South Carolina staff. But on the flip side, he's given LSU reason to believe they got a chance to get an official visit after hosting him over the weekend. So time will tell how it truly plays out, but panic is low around South Carolina for Landon Duckworth, one of the jewels of their class, nation's number 8 ranked passer.
All right, that's good to know. How about an update on 2027? Now, Landon Duckworth, a 2026 quarterback, he's committed, but 2027 quarterback recruiting is underway as well.
Yeah, Trent Seaborn was back on campus. Him and his family were blown away. 4-star out of Alabaster, Alabama, Thompson High. They've been building a relationship with Shane Beamer in South Carolina for over 2 years now. There's a lot of trust. Going to a place where you're the guy, where they're vested in you and your development, that is something that's very important to Trent Seaborn and his family. They have that trust with South Carolina. They know how important he is to that program and that class. Great visit. They like the offense. They like the trajectory of the program under Coach Beamer and company. Talked about last season how they were a whisker hair away of making the college football playoff with a season that didn't have much expectation beforehand. They're excited about where this team is at. They like Coach Shula. And South Carolina, if they're not the leader, they're certainly one of the front runners. He's going to be at Miami this weekend, Josh. He's going to be at Oregon for the Wisconsin game next month. He's going to get to Alabama for the Tennessee game. Those are who South Carolina is competing against. But nobody is recruiting him more consistent and harder from the head coach on down than the Gamecocks. And with that and how they're playing as a program, I like where they stand right now.
All right. There it is. South Carolina fans, talk to us. What is your level of concern with Landon Duckworth? Put it in the comments section below. All right, let's talk about Mississippi State recruiting. The Bulldogs took down Arizona State in an upset. It was electric on Saturday night, 24-20. Some big names on campus, Steve, including 2027 quarterback Malachi Ziegler.
Well, Malachi Ziegler has been a guy that Mississippi State was on as early as anybody, and Coach Lebby and that coaching staff is one that he's built a great rapport with. And certainly he knows a lot about Coach Lebby's track record of offensive success and the numbers quarterbacks have put up in the past, but he wants to see him do it at Mississippi State. No better game to be at than the upset victory over Arizona State in exciting fashion. Brennan Thompson, the breakaway touchdown with less than 50 seconds left in the ball game to hold off Arizona State and beat the number 12 team in the country, one that made the college football playoff a year ago. In your house, 2-0 Mississippi State in year 2 of the Lebby era. And Malachi Ziegler told me that the atmosphere was electric. The noise in the stadium was deafening. The Cowbells definitely played a part. Said that Coach Lebby and his staff have done a great job changing the culture at Mississippi State. They've prioritized recruiting good character guys, what they do in the classroom as much as what they're going to do on the field. So he likes that environment. SMU had been trending on the Rivals prediction machine, but do not sleep on the Bulldogs, who have been very consistent with Ziegler. And the coaching staff has shown a lot of love to him and his family. And I talked to his dad as well, and he talked about the all-around culture change that's taken place since Coach Lebby has arrived at Mississippi State, being super impressive to follow and how resilient this team has been. It was a tough year last year, but they're off and running this year, beating Arizona State and looking to build upon that here now in week 3.
All right, lots of recruits on campus for that one. What intel do you got coming out of Starkville today?
Well, they had some flip targets in 2026, Josh. They had LSU offensive tackle commit Bryson Cooley from in-state. And talking to sources that spent time with Cooley, they feel like Mississippi State is making a move here. We'll see if they can ultimately flip him from LSU, but they got him on campus. They have his ear, and they're going to keep pushing. KJ Johnson, a defensive back committed to South Carolina. He tells me that he's locked in with South Carolina, but Mississippi State, people that talked with him and spent time with them on campus, also think that they're in that one. Chris Brunson, a Louisville commit, is another one that Mississippi State appears to be making up ground with. There were several, obviously, top or coveted 2027s and 2028s on campus for Mississippi State this weekend. LaMarcus Jones, an offensive lineman, 4-star from Callaway High. Mississippi State's doing a good job in that recruitment, so he's one to highlight. And then the number 1 running back in the country in 2028, Zayden Jernigan, had a great experience on campus. He said it's very early in his process, but Mississippi State's high on his list. He loved how the offense started fast and made multiple explosive plays in the win.
Let's talk some Nebraska recruiting because the Huskers blanked Akron 68-0 on Saturday night. They do what they need to do to start 2-0, and now they got a little traction on the recruiting trail. Steve, what is the latest intel out of Lincoln after Saturday's win?
Yeah, they have 2 top 100 commits in the 2027 class. Quarterback Trey Taylor, who chose the Huskers over LSU, Texas A&M, Illinois, and Michigan. There's not a better peer recruiter in the land right now in 2027 than Trey Taylor. He was on campus this weekend, blown away by another experience under the lights inside Memorial Stadium around this dedicated fan base. He had a fantastic time, but he also brought his recruiting cap with him. A couple blue chippers that Nebraska's got more than traction with right now. The number one interior offensive lineman in the country, Albert Simeon from Louisiana. This was a return trip after having a fantastic experience in the summer. He said Nebraska's got the best facilities in college football. This trip, he enjoyed getting around the great environment and said it doesn't get any better than that. And the family enjoyed being around the team, and Nebraska's a team to watch as they battle LSU and Texas A&M, among others. And then the number 10 edge rusher in the country, KJ Green. A lot of SEC schools have been propped up in this recruitment, South Carolina and Alabama to name a couple, but he said it was unreal at Nebraska. He's been to a lot of games. Nothing compares to that. And they played Akron. All right. I mean, he's been to some big time SEC games. Nothing compares to Nebraska and Akron, just to give some people some perspective of what it's like at Nebraska, a fan base that can take over other stadiums when they go on the road. But he said the energy was different in the stadium, likes the new facilities, called it top tier, loves the development track record under Coach Rule and programs that he's built up in the past, and says Nebraska's a place where it's just bigger than wins and losses. So Nebraska is becoming a program to watch for KJ Green as well. And they're working to flip receiver Jacob Thomas out of Miramar, Florida from Pitt. He had an amazing visit, 2027 recruit, talked about the environment, the fans, the coaching staff, said it was a great experience. He's taken things in stride, but no question Nebraska is on his mind moving forward.
Let's talk some Iowa State recruiting, because for the first time at home since 2011, Iowa State beat Iowa in the Cyhawk rivalry game. It was a thriller, Steve, 16-3. And Iowa State, they loaded the sidelines, bunch of top targets on campus. What's the latest recruiting intel?
Yeah, 16-13, but that's about the standard score of an Iowa football game. And the Cyclones looking to capitalize on the recruiting trail. Big win in Ames over their in-state rival. And 3 new predictions in favor of the Cyclones coming out of the weekend. And it starts with rivals number 6 quarterback Israel Abrams, who no program is recruiting harder than Iowa State. Abrams loves Matt Campbell and this coaching staff and how they build up their players on and off the field. I like where Iowa State stands. So does colleague Greg Smith. We have those predictions in for Israel Abrams, the number 1 prospect in the state, top 100 receiver Landon Bloom, number 94 player overall. I like where Iowa stands there. He said that they're the leader in his recruitment. My prediction reflects that. We'll see where things go moving forward. And then offensive lineman Will Slagle, huge target for them in state. Iowa State looks like the program to beat for him. And there's a few other names to keep on Iowa State for. 4-star linebacker Gavin Stecker. Blake Betton out of Minnesota is another linebacker target that Iowa State's at or near the top of the list for. Nehemiah Ombadi is a defensive lineman that Iowa State has extended an early offer for, that they're in a great spot for. And Joseph Hamer, another out of Minnesota, a massive offensive tackle target that they're pushing hard for, that Iowa State is in really good early position. Out of Indianapolis, Brandon Sharp, one of the top playmakers in the Midwest, took his visit, was offered in person, loved the environment and where they're at as a program, the mix of great academics off the field, the facilities, the college town. Iowa State is a team on the rise for Brandon Sharp. In-state athlete Isaiah Hansen is thinking about a future at Iowa State as well. And in 2028, number 1 recruit in the state, Carter Barrett. Never bad to beat your rival Hawkeyes in front of Carter Barrett as you look to beat them on the trail. So Matt Campbell and company, they're 3-0. They got eyes on the college football playoff this year after winning a program record 11 games last year, Josh. Recruits are buzzing about this program, the track record of player development, particularly at quarterback. Iowa State is one of those sleeper schools where they have typically one of the best quarterbacks in college football. Those guys go on to be Sunday players. But Iowa State, it's a program built on toughness, culture, and recruits felt that this weekend. They saw a big win. They got around this coaching staff pregame and postgame, and the returns are coming in strong, and their commits are coming soon.